Welcome back, everybody, to episode 134 of the Lookout Podcast. I'm, of course, Meelz. I'm here with LJ, and we are here to talk about My Hero Academia today, quite frankly. I mean, the series has been booming, it's been banging. I'm obviously a stan, and it's my favorite one. You, obviously, someone who merely follows the series.
I like this season. Season 6 is really good so far. I've been saying though, like this is one of the best ones out right now.
Listen, it is so good. Like
Or
every
he
episode.
got in his bag with this. Like the war arc is different, man. I could be a hater, but I could be a hater with some type of like, he got in his Duffy on this one.
All right. So before we get into all of that, we have something to explain. Well, you have at least something to explain, or we have something to talk about. All right. So for the past week, you've been talking about, when does the new Pokemon game come out? And I was like, why do you ask? And he says, I want to get it. And I was like, why would you get it? You don't even like Pokemon that much. To which you responded, I love Pokemon. What are you talking about? I need to get this off the thing. Sir, I don't believe you. I still don't.
Why don't you believe that I don't like Pokemon?
I believe you don't like Pokemon. I don't believe you do like Pokemon.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't understand why. Like, I'm not like diehard. Like, I'm not like y'all. Y'all listen. Y'all on a different level than me when it comes to Pokemon.
Sure,
like, completely different level, which I truly respect. I'm a very casual fan, but I still like to just immerse myself and just like, you know what, the game is fun. It's fun to just like pop it in and play for like an hour or two, then boom, I go on about my day.
I've never heard you comment about anything regarding the game, which is why I'm like, yo, I've never heard you say,
leave it.
I've never even heard you finish the game.
But like, it's like, okay, it's like when me and you play Pokemon Go together, where it's like, I tell you all the time, I'm like, I haven't played
Pokemon Go with you in years, bro.
I know, but every time we get in New York together, we play.
Okay, sure.
That's why I just be like, you know what, it's there for me to connect.
But if I'm not there, you're not playing the game.
Not really, not Go. Not Go like that.
Okay.
But also, I did tell you also, you can't leave this part out. I said I'm going to also get the game for Kaya, because Kaya actually does really enjoy Pokemon. Like,
I believe that a lot more.
Invested into it.
I believe that a lot more than I believe that you have any interest or like, or will do anything regarding this game. Like,
that's really crazy. We had like a full-blown conversation like back and forth of you not,
because I don't believe you. I still don't believe you. First of all, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, to be honest with you, does not look that great of a game thus far, as from everything I've been told or been shown. Doesn't look very memorable, doesn't look very thing. I could be wrong. There's a lot of stuff they don't show us in these trailers, but the trailers they have shown, nothing has wowed me, nothing has surprised me. The gimmick for this game does not enthrall me. I am not a meta player, so I do not care what crystal comes over their head and what type they change to. I don't care. But I have never even seen you comment on any of the trailers for the game.
I watched them though. That's the most important part. The only thing I didn't know, because actually, I did know. I just needed clarification of just like, when does it release again? I was like, I'm promising, but I'm like, Meelz knows. Like, if there's something about Pokemon, Meelz is gonna know.
Why would I not know? You know why I would know?
Because you're fully invested with Pokemon.
Because I play
Black Ash. Like,
I am a trainer with no name. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, listen.
Lost my name a long time ago.
This is so crazy. Like, you really don't believe I enjoy, like, that's so wild. You think I'm lying about playing the Pokemon games?
I think that you getting the game, I feel like you don't need to get the game because you're not even going to finish it.
Well, really, it's for Kaya. Her birthday's that Monday. So I'm getting the game for her as a gift, but also it's like, I could play it too when I want to.
Okay. I mean, you'll see.
I feel this is a long about way of you telling me you just didn't want to go with me to go get the game.
It's not even that. First of all,
I think that's what it is. I think you were trying.
We're going to be so busy during that weekend I remember it because last year, last year, the Diamond and Pearl remix came out. Also, very unspectacular games, and I did not even get to touch that game until like the Thursday after we came back from Anime NYC. I was so busy from that whole weekend, plus doing videos, plus making sure the podcast is out, plus doing all my other podcasts. I had no time to play that game, and I feel like it's going to be exactly the same thing with Scarlet and Violet. And the one thing that I can always count on, if Carlos does get the game, because he does not seem very interested in this game, to be honest with you, he is someone who will be much further than I am, and I will have to absolutely catch up. But that said, I don't believe you, but we'll see.
Once again, I feel that this is just you telling me that you just didn't want to get the game with me. It's okay. This is like a roundabout breakup. It's a roundabout Pokemon breakup, or like you're just dubbing me. That's it. It's okay.
This week we sent 2 members of our own. Shout out to Versace Vegeta. Shout out to AD, who went to Atlanta Anime Weekend Atlanta. I always get it wrong. Anime Weekend Atlanta. So, one, I'm saying this publicly on the podcast, so those who are part of Anime Weekend Atlanta know that we are covering this because I'm not going to hold you. They try to play us, but the child was like, "Come on, man! You see the views, you see the action. Like,
come on, bro! You see the swag. It's the lookout. Like,
no, you're not gonna have us there. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've never seen a. You know what? I have. But nonetheless, Anime Weekend Atlanta. It looks like a good time. It looks like a lot of black people who love anime. That's what it looks like to me. It legitimately looks like a lot of black people.
That's what's up. I'm happy about that. I love seeing. I mean, that's how. I won't say Anime NYC had that same exact feeling, but there's a lot of black people.
Anime, yeah, well, definitely. But NYC is such a melting pot of so many different people that there was like a billion, jillion, million people there. And I look forward to seeing who else is going to be there during that time. And thank you guys for supporting our last episode. Peter Tatara of Anime NYC, director of Anime NYC, teaching us how anime conventions go down. Anything in the news, anything that you've watched, anything that you read before we get into this interview with Turtle Quirk?
Yeah. So, hold on. I gotta go down my watch list because low key, I've been watching some Heat. All right. I'm very proud of myself. I've been batting a high average when it comes to animes that
I'm glad because I got this. Of course, I'm a FanDuel fanatic at this point, and because I made a bet on FanDuel, all you had to do was make a $5 bet, and they gave you 3 months of NBA League Pass for free.
Oh, that's love,
bruh. I've been watching basketball for the last 4 weeks, or 2 weeks rather. The past 2 weeks, uninterrupted every night. I'm like, I should really watch something else. I'm so backed up on shows because I've just been watching basketball. So that's where I've been at these past number of weeks.
The lookout is slowly going to turn into Uncut Gems.
Or RSPN.
RSPN, I don't know.
Who knows? Hey, man,
who knows? Hey, listen.
Got to fill a void somewhere.
Meelz is turning into Howard Ratner. It's crazy.
Hilarious. All right, so what Heat have you been watching, sir?
All right, so I am fully behind this anime called Shinobi no Otoki.
Okay.
So I think it's only 4. Is it 4 episodes in?
Shinobi no Otoki. Okay.
It's on Crunchyroll. It's very new.
Is there a manga?
I'm sure there is. I haven't done the full deep dive on it. I've just been watching the anime.
Wikipedia does not show a manga. Interesting. Go on though.
Okay, so essentially it follows this it is an original anime series. Cool. So essentially if you follow this, young man who thinks
should I read the Wikipedia plot for you?
You could read it.
It says, in modern day Japan, after an attempt is made to kill him, Itoki Sakaburuba learns that he is a direct descendant and rightful heir of the Iga ninja clan. Of course, ninjas. His mother sends him to Ninjutsu Gakugen. Sounds like some Naruto shit. And the only national ninja school in Japan to study and train as a ninja while investigations are being made to discover who is trying to kill him and why. At the school, Itoki becomes involved with his new classmates and why some beautiful yet deadly young ninja girls. But danger is always present, especially when there is a suspected traitor inside the school.
Yeah, so essentially it's that, and it's funny because they do make like some Naruto jokes on there, and like there's some Naruto references, but other than that, like it's just a really fun series to watch. I'm really investing into it.
Between this and Classroom of the Elite, you really like school classroom animes, huh?
Yeah, hey, it's school in real life, but hey, man, classrooms in school and
you just have wanted always violence to be part of the curriculum at school, and
it's not I want violence. It's got to be like add some suspense to this. Like I have to go to school knowing that like if I do bad in school, my whole classroom is gonna be like homeless or something. I probably would have tried a little harder. Like, gotta up the ante with me.
Well, do they have to go? Do they have in this classroom? Do they still have to go through the normal curriculum of like math, arithmetic?
No, is they're learning strictly how to be ninjas.
All right, it's some sort of trade school. I feel
yeah, it's it's definitely trade school.
I feel like you would have maybe thrived in this environment more than actual school. Maybe.
Nah, yeah, definitely. Sometimes you just gotta find your, listen, you gotta find the things that you're good at. You gotta find your tribe. You have to find, your group. Yeah, you gotta find that. I didn't have that. I didn't have ninja school. There was no ninja school available here. Sadly, I'm surprised New York doesn't have one. Y'all have schools for everything else, but not a ninja school as well.
We have Tiger Shulman's martial arts school. Tiger Shulman's. So yeah, we have that.
Tiger Shulman's.
Tiger Shulman's. But with that said, we have some more stuff to talk about. If you're a fan of My Hero Academia, you're gonna love this episode because we speak to one of the guys who pretty much, when I found My Hero Academia and I found his videos online, that I became a fan instantly. And now I kind of like harass him in his DMs from time to time about My Hero stuff and Attack on Titan stuff and all this other stuff. So we have Turtle Quirk, who's returning to the show. Has not been on in a number of years, but he's returning to the show. Full-time content creator. He's living the dream that only we could think of. And yeah, we're going to talk to him next. On the lookout.
A decisive battle is upon us. An all-out war between the villains of the Paranormal Liberation Front and the heroes sworn to protect this world is about to begin.
If you're too slow, it'll be the end of Japan.
We're ready. You're the devil's pawn, and you will face justice!
My Hero Academia, Season 6.
And we are back on the lookout. We have a recurring guest. Well, I don't want to say recurring. I feel like recurring is like, I don't know. I don't know. Is it 2 times? Is it a recurring guest? Like if you host something more than once, are you technically considered recurring or like a revisiting? Like
yeah. So when you say recurring, what I would think of is like every other month, but it does make sense to say it though because this is the second time.
This is the second time. Second time. So for those of you who have been listening for quite some time, because this is his first time in, I have a clock since September of 2020.
Wow.
I know, right? So much shit has changed. We have Turtle Quirk back on the lookout. Welcome back, my friend.
Glad to be back. 2 years. I didn't even know it was that long. I had no idea.
2022 at that, huh? So
Yeah, listen. Well, all right. So last time you were on the podcast, September of 2020, right? This is before. This is like a month before, maybe a couple of weeks before season 4 of Attack on Titan debuts. This is like this is before we're probably like still trying to pick up the pieces with the anime world. Dubs and subs and manga are still like at a weird staggered pace because of how everything is going. How has everything changed for you? I'm asking you, as someone who creates content, because we're going to talk a little bit about that, and also we're going to talk about it, like, My Hero Academia, and maybe a little bit of Attack on Titan, and maybe a little bit of Chainsaw Man as well. Hopefully, we can fit that all within a lot of time. But how has pretty much your life changed since the last time you were on this podcast? And if it's greater, I fully take full credit for being the inflection point that changed your life and sprungboard you into superstardom.
Well, I appreciate it, and I agree as well. I think it was largely down to you as well. Um, but yeah, no, my life's changed. It's changed a lot because at the time when we did the podcast the last time, I was mainly talking about like My Hero Academia on my channel. That's pretty much all I ever spoke about. And then yeah, when it got to the Attack on Titan season, I remember one of my friends was like, "Why don't you do Attack on Titan breakdowns?" And I was like, I don't know, like I just didn't feel like it. Like I didn't even think about doing it because at the time I only talked about one series, which was My Hero, and then I just kind of did it almost just to see what would happen. And then I remember the response just kind of blew me away. And then by the end of the season, like we were sometimes occasionally like trending on YouTube and stuff, and it was ridiculous. And so yeah, I kind of just rode that wave of Attack on Titan stuff until today. And like now I'm kind of thinking about doing more Chainsaw Man content because Attack on Titan's basically done now. I guess the anime's coming back next year, but for the most part, that's like the last thing.
Mm-hmm.
For the series, which is sad because I wish there was like a sequel or prequel coming, but I doubt it. Uh, I feel like Isayama is pretty much done. He was doing that for 10 years straight. So yeah, it's time to, I guess.
No, he's gonna be at so we're going to Anime NYC next month, and he's gonna be at Anime NYC. And we have full intentions on pressing him about
oh yeah,
more.
definitely. I
Well,
have I listen. I have questions. I already put it. I put it on the interview. I just got
well,
questions about a couple things that he
well,
did.
Jamal is gonna press him about the last chapter of Attack on Titan.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have to. Listen, man. I just feel as a fan, as a person that has invested my time into this, I deserved a little better, just a little bit.
What was your thoughts? All right, so I don't want. Damn, I didn't want to get too spoilery in the beginning of the. Actually, you know what? Let's hold off on that. Let's hold off. I want to get into all the manga talk all after the fact when we can properly say like, "Hey, spoilers ahead. Be warned." Instead of it coming at the beginning of this interview and ruining it for everybody. Um, but no, you have evolved. I First of all, I want to say I'm a big fan of yours. Nonetheless, I know we talk quite a bit, but I'm a big fan of yours, and you're the reason why I have learned to use Final Cut Pro. I'm not even sure if you still use Final Cut Pro.
Oh, I do. Yeah,
Um,
I still use it.
Oh, okay. You're the reason why I legitimately like, oh, okay. He started using it. You put up a video of how to use Final Cut Pro. And
Yeah.
I looked at that video and began using Final Cut Pro. And that's kind of how like I generate most of the videos that we do. They aren't as nice. They aren't as flashy. I don't know how to do I didn't download all the plugins like you did, to be honest with you. But you are very good at creating content, and I've learned quite a bit from you, not just from how to create content, but like a lot on Attack on Titan as well, because quite frankly, season 4, I would be lost if you had not explained the memories thing where he's looking forward but seeing this and then
Yeah.
looking back. Yeah, I would talk about the process, how it goes in like creating your content, like going through and like planning these videos and like actually doing the research to be able to explain all this stuff.
Yeah. So like for Attack on Titan, it was slightly different from what I'm doing right now with Chainsaw Man. So when it came to Attack on Titan, it would literally be like the episode comes out on Sundays, right? So from pretty much the Monday, maybe Monday to Wednesday or something, I would literally be like rereading the chapters because I've already read them, but I would like go through just to find any like small Easter eggs or maybe things that I might have missed the first time around. And whenever I find something that I'm certain like people will not get this the first time because I didn't get it, I would write that down. Like, is this confusing or is this hard? Is this easy to miss? And so I'd write all those like important things down, because I know that's the thing that people want to see, right? Like, because once you watch an episode, you've seen it. You watch my
Yeah.
videos to find out what you didn't understand or what you didn't see. So
Absolutely.
those are the main things that I'm scanning for in the manga. But of course, sometimes the episodes are slightly different, right? So although I have my notes, I'm still waiting for the episode to come out. I like watch it really closely to see if there's any differences. And then at that point, that's when I'll like basically finish the script off. So I'll have a draft of like I'll have a draft of like what the manga said, and then I wait for the episode, see what the episode says, and then I'll edit it based on what's changed and what's different in the episode. And yeah, that's basically how I was doing it for Attack on Titan the whole time. Nowadays with Chainsaw Man, it's not as extensive because Attack on Titan is like so convoluted and complex sometimes, so like you need to do that prep. Whereas Chainsaw Man's a bit more simple, it's a bit more fun. So yeah, I literally like the episode comes out on Tuesdays. So tomorrow I'll just read through the manga quickly. I'll write down some notes, and then on Tuesday when the episode comes out, write a script quickly, and then hopefully get it out that night or on Wednesday.
Have you been able to do this kind of full time, or are you like still,
Yeah,
weighing
I've
between
been
like jobs and?
no, I've been doing it full time since we had our last podcast, which was
Oh, that's amazing.
Nice.
yeah. So I actually like in that podcast, that was like the first month where I started doing it full time. And because Attack on Titan was so big, so crazy, that like the views were enough. And then after a while you build up, because when you do YouTube for enough, you have such a backlog of videos that sometimes you'll earn a certain amount even if you're not uploading content, like new content. But obviously it goes down after a while. Like you do need to keep uploading and stuff like that. And so right now I'm kind of figuring out like in the future what is going to be my big thing, because with Attack on Titan being done, you always need to be looking ahead, like what is going to be the next big thing that you need to talk about to keep doing this, because it is a fun job. One of my friends said to me like it's the best job in the world, and I kind of agree with that, mainly because of like the freedom and stuff, but it doesn't mean it's not hard. Like it is still difficult.
I mean, obviously, like being in the same realm of like content creation, there was like a point for me where like reading manga, I'm not gonna say that it wasn't fun, but like I definitely had it. Like I was like reading chapters, like okay, like I have to analyze this. I have to break this down. I have to like, what was that? Like, do you remember that turning point for you? It was like, okay, this is going from like watching just as a fun thing. I mean, it's still fun, but like going as just like watching as a fan to now like, okay, I have to watch this to like really pay attention to detail and like really pay attention to like the little things that are happening because I have to be able to talk about this.
So well, there's two sides to that, because when it came to like the chapter reviews and stuff like that, I basically stopped doing those because it basically took all the enjoyment out of it. Like I was reviewing the chapters for a while, but then after a while I was like, wait, if I don't like a chapter, like I'm still expected to make a video, and it's like sometimes
and that's the worst.
Yeah,
that's the worst.
Like sometimes you'd read it and you'd be like, I didn't like this. Like, why do I have to talk about this? So I kind of just stopped doing those, because whenever I did do one and I liked the chapter, the next week would come and I wouldn't like the chapter, and it's like, oh, I don't want to do this. So I just figured it was best to just not do them at all and just enjoy them for what they are. Episode reviews are slightly different because you guys know, like when the episode comes on and you've already read the manga, you're just watching it, like you know what's going to happen for the most part.
Right.
So it's like you enjoy it and you can talk about it. But when it's a chapter and it's like brand new and you kind of like reacting to it, and sometimes you don't like it, you don't want to talk about it. So yeah, I still enjoy reading manga a lot, but yeah, it's the pressure of needing to talk about things all the time. That was a bit too much for me. But I have friends who do it every week still. Like they're built different. But yeah, I don't do it.
No, I can see why in a sense, because one, I think even when you go through chapter by chapter, and I know Jamal experienced a lot of this too when he was doing the Big Eyes podcast, because that was our manga podcast, but you go by chapter, sometimes you tend to lose the idea of the bigger story within it, and you're reviewing such a small segment of it. Like, for instance, I feel like every time, so we have our Discord, and every time a chapter comes out, it'll be like boo or yay, and it's mostly, believe it or not, mostly boos for My Hero and like yays for JJK. But I'm not gonna say who does boos and who does yays, but
I've definitely been an MHA booer as of late.
I'm
I've
an
been
MHA yayer. So,
yeah.
and
Comes for good conversation.
you're here obviously to split the vote, but no, but it kind of, you have to like remind yourself that this is just part of a bigger story, and that's kind of what I want to get to. I'll do one more question before we head into like the kind of like the state of My Hero Academia, because I think it's in this currently, I believe last year or maybe even the year before, it felt like it was a little bit of a downturn, both not only just in the anime but in the manga itself. And now it kind of seems like it's back on the rise a little bit in terms of like engaging content. But I want to ask you, in regards to just the final thing on kind of content, if there is someone out there who wants to create content for anime world, maybe they want to break in on YouTube or something like that, what are like key advice, key things that you feel like people may not see or may not take into account beforehand that they probably should, that'll make the process maybe a little bit more smoother, or maybe understand a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, the main thing is, I would say, only talk about what you're passionate about, because I mean, for example, like one of my I was speaking to another YouTuber about this, and he was telling me like, it'd be so great if you did Demon Slayer on your channel. And I was like, yeah, I know it would probably fit what I talk about, but this is a series that I've tried to get into, and I literally like, it's just so mid. I'm sorry, I know a lot of people love Demon Slayer.
That's crazy.
But like,
Wow. Well, that's been a fun talking, guys. I think
No. But here's the thing. All right, you're not the only person who has a sentiment. Now, it's not me who believes this sentiment. No, we're completely
yeah.
different. But you're not the only person who shares this. But go on, please go on.
Yeah, and so like, if I was like, what a lot, if I was built different basically, and I would have basically forced myself to read this series, which I don't particularly like. I would have made videos on it, and they probably would have done pretty well. But it's like, I'm not passionate about it. You only if you talk about what you're passionate about, you'll put so much more effort into it, and you'll see things that you wouldn't have otherwise. Because if you're reading a series that you don't like, maybe you're not looking for like the smaller details that maybe you'd miss otherwise. But if you care about something, then you're going to see the things that maybe other people might miss. I guess that's the benefit of being like a super fan. Like, you just pick up on things that maybe not everyone else would. And so I guess advice would be, yeah, do something you're passionate about, talk about what you care about, because that will allow you to make better content because you actually know what you're talking about. But it is hard. Like, even at my stage now, like, it's hard to differentiate yourself from other people sometimes. And I guess, coming up with your own unique theories and ideas, like, and just things that separate you from other people, that is so important. Like, I would hate for someone to go on my channel and not be able to differentiate it in some way from someone else doing a similar thing. That's why I always try and do, I'm sure you guys have seen like my what if videos, stuff like that, where I
Bruh.
kind of make like hypotheticals, like stuff like that. I do it partly because I like it a lot, obviously, but also because I know like no one else is going to have the exact same idea that I have. So if someone watches this video, they'll always know, like, whenever they think of it, oh, it was Turtle Quirk who did that. Like, it wasn't so and so, it was Turtle Quirk. So I feel like every channel needs to have at least one thing that only you can do, that only your mind can come up with, and it doesn't have to be every single week, but just something once in a while that is only unique to you. I think that's very important as well.
First of all, definitely want to give a shout out to what if Aaron had become the Titan series. I mean, Erwin, sorry. Not to confuse it with Aaron. Because that takes a lot. That seems like it takes a lot, not only just like with the custom illustrations and stuff that goes along with it, but the actual like the ideas and concepts and actually like webbing and threading together. You're essentially taking all the information. You have to be very versed within Attack on Titan to be able to create a series where characters' motivations or have an idea of characters' motivations, what they would do and how they would carry things. So that's just to me, if you guys haven't seen that content on YouTube, please go check it out on his channel because it's amazing.
Thank you, man.
One of the things actually I did not get to ask you on the last time you were on this podcast, which we do usually with every first guest, which I have no idea why I didn't ask you. I think or maybe I did. I don't even remember anymore. But I asked every guest this: how did you get into anime? And what was the gateway anime for you?
Gateway anime when I was like about 5 or 6 years old was Yu-Gi-Oh. That was the gateway anime for me. Like I was obsessed with Yu-Gi-Oh, just playing the game itself and watching the anime.
Mm,
So that was definitely the first one. But Beyblade was a big deal as well. Pokemon, if that Pokemon's a weird one because it is anime, but like it almost feels like it doesn't count. Like it's just a cartoon. Like
yeah,
everyone watches Pokemon. Every single person watches Pokemon. But but yeah, I
It's
say
one of
those.
those transcendent ones. Just like it
Yeah,
was able to break through the anime barrier, become something like this is like just
yeah,
cartoons all around for everybody.
exactly. Yeah, like if you asked a random person, like they wouldn't say that's anime. They just say, "Oh, it's Pokemon." Yeah, like, they wouldn't even think about it. But yeah, Yu-Gi-Oh was a big one for me, and then I kind of went on like a break kind of from it. I don't know why. I just didn't watch it for ages, and it was until Dragon Ball Super came back that's when I started watching it again. And then eventually
mm,
that led to My Hero Academia, and I love My Hero so much that that's what kind of inspired me to start making videos in the first place. Um, so yeah, I've discovered a lot of new anime though over like because like I said, there was a whole long period when I wasn't watching anything, and so there are a few things that I've had to like catch up on, and that my brother he's been showing me quite a few as well. And he got me into
awesome.
Black Clover, which is like one of my favorite of all time now.
I've not read a single. Actually, I'm lying. I read the first 2 pages of like the first chapter, and then I was like, "No, I'll pick this up another time." And never did. It's happened with so many animes.
It took me a couple times with Black Clover, but I was able to press through.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? In the beginning, that was the same for me as well. I think it wasn't until like I think like episode 19 or something where I was like, oh, okay, this is good. Like it took me a while actually, but yeah, it's one of my favorites.
Okay. Now that you mentioned, or you did mention My Hero Academia, let's get into the state of My Hero Academia currently. Um, we
Hmm.
are currently, like I said, I feel like we're currently at a somewhat of an inflection point. I think when a series kind of goes on for as long as it does, and not that My Hero Academia is this like long arc, and it's not, we're not like 500 episodes in or something, but I do believe like after a certain time, um, people get used to the characters and people get used to that's why I believe like shorter mangas typically get more critical acclaim than the longer ones, and this one has gone on 300 chapters and it's over 100 episodes at this point.
Yeah.
um but we're currently at this inflection point. It's the largest arc of the series, I do believe, and it's possibly the most defining one of the second act of the series. Because I don't know if I would say like this is the definitive My Hero Academia arc.
I
First of all,
wouldn't say
would you
that.
say that? No, I
No.
would. Okay.
No.
Um, but at least in the second act of the series, I think this is like the um kind of where it all comes to a head.
Yeah, it's
I want Go ahead.
whatever happens, it's going to be the most consequential because it is the end, isn't it? Like um
Yeah.
Horikoshi's basically said that he was planning to end the series this year, and then he like the other day a quote came out from like one of these conventions where he was like, "Oh, maybe it will last a little bit longer." Um, but no,
And you
like the
can
way
kind
I
of see that, to be honest, in the kind of like how he's pacing the manga, but we'll get there.
yeah
Definitely. Yeah, you can. This is my bad. And I'm just going to it back to something that Mill said about like it being long running. I just think as fans, there does reach a point where we know what to expect. Um,
Especially in
and
shonen.
yeah, especially in shonen, which I feel is it's so easily predictable. But I mean, we still enjoy it though. There's something very comforting about kind of like, okay, I know how this flows, I know how this plays out. Uh, I mean, but it's a double edged sword. It's like when you get into such a, I feel, groove or like the gears are turning, and this then if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Essentially, but it
yeah
definitely reaches a point where you're like, okay, you have to like either up the ante somehow, or you have to somehow make this more consequential. You have to make this more like up the stakes a little bit somehow, some way. And for me, just as personally as a fan, I just felt that he Horikoshi kept trying to, but it just wasn't hitting a mark in my head where I'm just like, nah, like I feel that you can go higher than this, or I
yeah
feel that the consequences can be better, like harder than this, or I feel that there can be like a bigger sacrifice here that we're just not getting. And then I mean, there was definitely a point where he did, which I'm sure we're about to talk about in a minute.
Right. Well, Turtle, I want to ask you, considering that you were at one point like closely like covering the series, not necessarily that you hate. Oh my god, I'm not gonna do it. I mean, I'm sure it is, but season 5, I do believe, was a point where people were just had general disdain for My Hero Academia, and I don't know if it was just exhaustion or just the fact that kind of like nothing was happening. But how do you
Yeah.
feel like, especially with season 6 premiering, what do you think they've done since then that kind of like, because it feels kind of refreshing, invigorated a little bit.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, season 6 does have the advantage of like it's adapting the best arc in the series. So like that's like a great place to start with. And in terms of season 6 so far, like the animation and just everything's been great. The problem with season 5 was that not only were they working with sometimes material that wasn't the best during the joint training arc, but they also kind of messed around with the timeline. So like they put certain bits before other bits, and it didn't really make sense. For example, halfway through the season, Hawks was working for the Paranormal Liberation Front, which is an organization that didn't exist till the end of the season. So it was really weird the way they swapped things around. It didn't quite work. And so a lot of people kind of just turned off. Like I saw on Twitter, a lot of people didn't even continue watching after a certain point. So it was really disappointing. And then on top of that, at the time, the manga wasn't really that great as well. And yeah, it was just everyone was just really down on the whole series. Right now, like you say, it's an inflection point. The anime, I would say right now, is amazing. It's so good. And the manga right now is pretty good, but it's
Right.
not the same peak as it was during the first war arc. That first war arc, everyone was losing their minds every single week. Like there was something
It was
happening.
something because I mean I feel like just like watching the first war arc and reading the second one, which I feel is really cool that we're kind of experiencing these two kind of major wars at the same time. But the first war arc, I felt that it was just something very organic about it,
Mm,
like the surprises, the battles, the um Dabi Shigaraki, all these like little things that are just like starting to pop up and these surprises and these backgrounds that are coming. Um, I don't know, something real special about something. You're just like
It was the threat, like to me, this is like the threat that was always looming. So they lost, I think a
yeah.
major point in this series was when they lost All Might as a character, because could no longer just show up and start punching the hell out of things. And quite frankly, to be honest, in the series, you don't even remember much of All Might. Um,
mm,
Especially when you hit the season 6. Not that he's not there and not he's not but he's literally, it's all on Deku, it's all on
Hmm.
Shigaraki now.
yeah.
And um you reach this point now where every episode, and that's kind of what you want out of an anime, right? Like even when you think about the movies, because a large part was season 5 was everything got detracted because the rumors was that they were working on the movies, put a lot of focus into the actual movie itself, and then the movie is like, it's great, but like, Um,
Was it worth it?
but yeah, was it worth it at the end of the day to be able to sacrifice telling this story? Where season 6, it seems like they put all the, I mean, even the animation. The one thing I've been begging for in the last number of seasons was, you look at pieces like, Attack on Titan, and you look at like One Piece, and you look at like all the, first of all, I know you're mid on this, but Demon Slayer, which is quite frankly one of the, every episode is like a movie at this point, and you realize that My Hero Academia at some point has to step it up like immensely to be even, the bar has been set a little bit higher just in anime in general, and My Hero Academia was meet that in season 5. I mean, I remember I was looking at the episode, and one of my favorite parts of the series is the Aizawa and Present Mic go meets Kurogiri, and it's great and all, and it's emotionally gripping, but I just thought it was just so like, I was like, damn, they
It
look
felt
like they,
flat.
and it not, they just look like they doodled it. Like I was like, ugh. It just didn't look like it was given the attention that it should, and I think it's such a major part because this is where they kind of find out like, oh shit, it's going down. Um,
Mm,
but season 6, I mean, every episode has been, to me, the first 5 episodes, and we can talk about the last episode that they just aired as well, with Shigaraki finally waking up and
yeah.
destroy, like, that visual itself is, to me, what the series has been missing. It's been missing violence. in a way that's like unmitigated, deterred, just complete. It's missing that big looming character.
Yeah.
And Shigaraki is finally here, and he's finally arrived.
And I
And I
think
love.
it's just more in like, oh my bad, you can go.
No, no.
Go
Oh
ahead.
well, I was just gonna say like one thing I loved about that whole bit was like when the first user like speaks to Deku, and you just see Deku's face. Like he was
He's
terrified.
like,
He's like, "What the hell is going on?" Yeah, I loved
"Hey,
it.
he's
Yeah.
coming! Run!"
Oh yeah, listen, he was telling everybody to get. He knew it was coming. It's the immediate threat.
He heard Boosie's daughter and thing. We told you, is he coming? He's coming. But no, I mean, just everything about where we're heading in this series, and it just doesn't stop. Like, to be honest, it's the season long thing. Um, Everything is just. I mean, does anyone have a favorite moment thus far about the 5 episodes that have kind of aired? And kind of what's the major difference they've seen from this season to like past, at least the past 2?
Favorite
The
moment would have to be
void.
the. Oh well, you know what? That was a really interesting moment because you guys remember the panel in the anime was so like intricate, and it's like
Yeah.
it's difficult to convey that on the screen because when I saw it, I'm not saying it's bad. It was pretty good, but like because the background was white, like in the anime, I was like, oh okay. Like I was expecting more like some kind of like ethereal, like colorful, weird background here, and it was just white. So
Mm.
that kind of felt flat, but they did a good job. So I'm not complaining. Like it was as good as they could have done it. I think.
I think for me, like the white. I think Shigaraki, especially during this moment, he's so like he's locked in on his mission. I feel like the white background and everything, how everything felt so plain. That's just how I just see him as a character right now. Just like, bro, he doesn't care about like these floating memories of his family and all these other people. Like he's like, no, I have a mission and like I have a thing that I need to get done. Like there's no gray area for me. Everything is clear cut.
Hmm.
And just seeing that moment and like when he first sees All for One, and he's like, "Why does your face look like that?" But he's like, "Man, I don't even care. Like, let's get to work. Like, let's
Yeah.
get to this. Let's do what we got to get done."
It's I don't know. Like the visual, first of all, I love the little aspect of it. I'm not sure if they put this in the manga itself, but him destroying the X guy and taking his quirk. I'm not sure if they actually showed that in the manga, so I actually do love that part because I think he just shows up with a cape, and I was like, that's kind of cool. Like it's inferred that he destroyed the guy, killed the guy, and took his cape,
Hmm.
but you finally get to see it in action, and
Oh wait, and
him just
one thing
go,
about that moment that I liked. So you know how like Exus has like the laser quirk, obviously, yeah. The thing I
yeah.
loved about the
Yeah,
anime when Shigaraki puts his hand on Exus's face, the laser's still going. Like Shigaraki's just like brushing it off. Like it's
palming
still
it.
like it's still going off in his hand, and he's just like doesn't care. Like it doesn't matter. I like that detail.
It was everything in this latest episode to me. I felt like it was the first true haunting episode since like um I mean there's a couple like I think when Lemillion loses his quirk, I was like, damn, that's kind of crazy. I think reading it
Hmm.
more for the first time, it was like very unsettling for me, and then when I actually saw it, I guess the impact had worn off.
Yeah.
And then when they kidnapped Bakugo originally the first time, I was like, oh, and they kidnapped kids and they beat up like 12 kids too, and they had to go to the hospital.
Yeah.
And like so much stuff is I was like, damn, even as like imagine you go on a field trip and you come back and like it's the worst thing on earth to be like not only kids have been kidnapped, but they've been beaten up and stolen and all this other stuff. It's your worst fear as just like parent or human being or anyone who's concerned about that. So I thought that was very haunting. But this I think is like and I'm interested to see where they go because I think um Shigaraki, as the series goes on, um with All for One, it gets a lot more unhinged, and I would love to see artistically kind of like where they go with that. um Now, oh, go ahead.
Well, were you talking about manga Shigaraki just then, or anime Shigaraki?
Anime. I was about to head into the manga, to be
Okay.
honest, though. But I think just in general. So I wanna move over to the manga itself because last year it also had its issues as well, and I'm talking about around this time last year, the Star and Stripe arc premieres, or at least
Yeah.
starts running, and I don't know, very critical. Not a lot of people happy with the end of it, to be honest with you.
Mm.
I see why people weren't. But I want to
Yeah.
ask you, Turtle, at least now in retrospect, now a year later, with the context of all of it, do you have any different opinions? I'm not sure what your opinion was then, but do you have any different opinions on the arc now, how it fits in context with the grander scheme of things?
Yeah. So I do. The Star and Stripe one was interesting because there are two main consequences that come out of it. I mean, the first one was that, I mean, by Shigaraki fighting Star and Stripe, it kind of delayed his body's completion by a few days, but that didn't really mean much, so we can kind of put that to the side. The other thing that matters that's become more relevant since then is the whole theme about like passing things on to the next generation. Because I'm pretty sure it was even just the last chapter. Star and Stripe's mentor, that fish-looking guy, like he was talking about how like her sacrifice was necessary for like to save the next generation or whatever. And then as he was saying that, we saw Edgeshot moving in to do what he did with Bakugo. So
Mm-hmm.
it was relevant in that sense. Like you got an adult here who's trying to save the young kids and stuff. um, but ultimately, what I think Star and Strike was all about was Horikoshi. He's like, I know the series is ending soon. I need to do something really out there, really cool, because it was a cool sequence. Like, even if it didn't
Yeah.
have that many consequences, it was still a really fun thing to see. And when it's animated, it's probably going to be insane. So I get it. Like his series is ending. He just wants to add a new cool moment where he can kill off a character. Because let's be real, like if this was Deku versus Shigaraki, like it's not going down like this. So like he had
No,
to
it's not.
yeah, so he was like, I want to do something like this because that remember that moment when Shigaraki like touches her face, that was so epic. But you can't do that with any of the main characters. You can't do that with Deku or Bakugo or even All Might. I think. I mean, maybe you could, but like he's less willing to do it with those characters. So he was like, I'm gonna write in this new character to do all this cool stuff. Um, but it was kind of
It was like a
unnecessary.
it was
Like
like
you,
a power scaling battle. Like
yeah.
he did this just to show y'all how strong Shigaraki really is right now.
Exactly, yeah. So like you could take it out of the series and it not make that much of a difference. But that being said, I'd keep it in. It was fun. But not that many consequences. Yeah.
How do you feel as the war arc has gone on now? I mean, this latest war arc, it seems like the final war.
Yeah.
Well, obviously. It seems like the final war arc. But how do you feel like it's gone? Because to me, when it began, I think a lot of fans kind of were with the anticipation of like, I hope he doesn't rush through this and fucks this up. Because it seemed
Yeah.
like when you announced that the series is ending, it's a double-edged sword. People are able to lament and kind of look back and like, oh, this is amazing, but then you have people now looking towards and pretty much looking forward to how the hell the series is going to end, and like now we're just speculating as opposed to kind of like taking it in as an actual story itself.
Yeah, that's
um
true.
how do you feel like this war arc has been going thus far, especially compared to the one that's airing now?
You actually make a good point because if I didn't know this was the final arc, I actually think I would have been enjoying it more. Like now that you kind of mentioned that.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
because
it's go ahead.
now that I know it's yeah, because I've been looking at it the whole time with the view that yeah, this is the end, and so from that perspective, I have been a bit disappointed, and I'll tell you why. It's mainly down to Shigaraki. Shigaraki from the beginning of the series was like basically the same as Deku. Like slowly each season, he was building up in one way or another. Like in the beginning, he started with basically not knowing anything, and as the series progressed, he got stronger villains on his team like Darby and Toga, and then he got the quote destroying bullets, and then he got his power up during My Villain Academia, and now who is Shigaraki really? He's basically all for one inside a Shigaraki body for the most part. The real Shigaraki is kind of dead.
Mm.
Like
Hmm.
when we look at the chapters, it's mainly all for one in control of the body, and it kind of seems like he's not going to come back. And even if he does, he's probably going to be redeemed in some way. Like
And that's
Horikoshi,
my
yeah,
no,
go
I'm
on.
saying that's my thing right there of just like they're giving him a way out. And I get it. He's a kid and completely agree with this, like, this theme of like the next generation and making a better life for them and whatnot. But like, I don't, as much as I love Shigaraki, I don't feel that he deserves like a not that he doesn't deserve, but like I don't want to see him have a happy ending. I don't want to see him with a way out. And I feel that them doing this whole like he is now completely lost into all for one thing allows them to do this whole like I'm gonna reach a hand in and help him out of this dark place.
Yeah. That's exactly it. It's the setup for Tenko Shimura to come back and stuff. So yeah,
Right. And we haven't really
yeah.
and sorry, one of the more disappointing things thus far is that we haven't really seen him in all of his like splendor, like fully 100%. Like I don't even want to spoil it. I mean, we see him kind of like in the war do his thing, but we don't really like we never really see him being able to unleash like how that Deku at this point he is like, yo, I'm throwing Black Whip and I'm combining with Fajin and then I'm gonna run across this and then I can do, I can punch people and they move in 4 seconds as opposed to 3 seconds and blah blah blah. And he got the whole kit in front of him. He's like, oh, I'm doing 120%. I was like, I didn't even know that was possible. But we haven't really seen, I mean, I'm sure we're alluding to it thus far that we're going to see how fully the full stretch of what Shigaraki can actually do. And I hope it's not like one of those Goku moments where Deku is like, Aizawa, chill, I got this for now. And like one of those kind of things. Throw him a sensu bean.
Throw him a sensu bean.
But I say that was probably the most interesting thing, but in terms of what I've enjoyed about this war arc thus far, I think what he's managed to do is, and it's something that he's always done, has create a great balance between all the events that are going on and giving them some weight. And yeah, you go a couple chapters without seeing probably your fave, but it's never really too long.
Yeah, true. The one thing we haven't seen for ages is Toga, because you know how they foreshadowed that she might be able to kind of use twice his blood to kind of use his quirk. That was something they foreshadowed a long time ago, and we haven't seen her for ages. So I'm guessing I didn't even know. Maybe he forgot about that. I guess not, but it's been so long that I've kind of just been
if
waiting.
We come back to the island and they're running for their lives.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of togas running around.
Actually, you know what? While we're here, I want to get your opinion on something. How did you feel like this was something that was speculated since pretty much damn near the beginning of this? How did you feel about Aoyama being outed as the traitor of the series?
Yeah, I thought it was okay. It was predictable, definitely. I think it's better than being Invisible Girl, though. When it was Invisible Girl, I was like, "Oh my god, are you serious? Like, she's even more relevant than he is." So yeah, I was disappointed with that one. But then when they switched it around the next week and it was Aoyama, it was a weird. You know what? Horikoshi kind of he was kind of smart to do it that way because by giving us the worst option first, it being Invisible Girl, like when we saw it was Aoyama, we're like, okay, well, it wasn't our first choice. Like, it's not great, but it's better than what you told us last week. So,
yeah,
you know what? We'll take it.
I mean, then they also had that weird, Aoyama episode where he was like stalking Deku.
Yeah. And so that's what made it kind of obvious.
Yeah, like he did some weird stuff, man. He was moving really weird amongst his friends.
But to me, in terms of just the story, it's in terms of just the traitor of it all. I feel like it wasn't. There were clues, but there was also like ways it couldn't have been him. I don't feel like they laid it on, not necessarily like heavy enough because you don't want it to be too obvious, but you can go back and you see a couple things like him, during the kidnapping arc and Dabi not seeing him clearly. I mean, I hope at least he saw him, but not destroying him or something along those lines. But it never really felt to me like, oh, okay, like we've got it doesn't feel like when you unfurl something in Attack on Titan and you're like, oh, I can go back to season 2 and you can clearly see this that and the third. It kind of felt like, okay, we're testing this, it may not be him, but in case it is, we at least have this evidence, because it very well could have been Invisible Girl. Like, she's invisible, like, duh. But it could have been anybody at that point. I mean, AFO's connects are big.
I think the motives is what kind of killed it for me. I was just like, if I'm gonna have a traitor, like, I don't want to be I'm sorry, he had a gun to my rib, so I had nothing to do. Like, I really wanted it to be on some like, nah, I really just don't mess with y'all. Like, I've been
Yeah.
sitting here from the jump, like, nah, like one of those feelings. Like, this just felt like, well, my parents told me to do it, so I had to. I'm sorry, guys. I was just like, I'm like, it's not
Yeah,
really a traitor. That's just a kid in a rock and a hard place, man. I'm just like,
exactly. No, I agree
Um,
100%.
of course. And so I want to say, because we gotta let you go, um, what are you looking forward to in season 6? What is the moment you're looking forward to seeing animated? And then I'll put another question: how do you think the series ends?
Okay, so moment I'm most looking forward to. Can I say two? Two moments?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so first one is that whole thing when Endeavor and Shigaraki were having a fight, and then basically Shigaraki beats him down, stands over his body, and raises his fist in the air like All Might. That was that's the moment I'm looking forward to, and I think it might come next week or maybe the week
Yeah.
after. Um,
I was hoping this episode would end with Endeavor showing up with like a fist, and that would be kind of how it ends.
yeah,
But fine, it'll happen next episode.
yeah, because I remember reading that. I was like, this is so disrespectful. Like, this is the number one hero. You're just standing over him like he's a joke.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
nah, he creamed them. It was bad. It was bad. It was not a good look for an Endeavor fan base. We had to go back to the charts on that one.
yeah. And the other thing is the reveal that we all know what it is, the Derby reveal. That is something. It's kind of weird, isn't it? Because like you experience it in the manga and it's like so hype, and then when it comes to the anime, you know what's coming, but you're still excited. Like you want to see this moment that got you so hyped. You just want to see it in like you know animated. It gives you a different feeling. So
Hmm.
I do want to see how they do that and like the music when that drops, and I want to see like Endeavor and Shoto's reaction because the anime like has more scope to like show them like screaming or whatever they want to do.
Right.
Um, so yeah, I'm excited to see those two moments. And what was the last bit of the question again?
How do you think the series ends based on the direction we're at in the manga thus far?
Oh right, how the manga ends.
Yeah, how the manga ends. Sorry.
Oh
Yes, how
okay.
the manga ends.
Oh wow. Well, I've always said that I kind of see Shigaraki. So we spoke about him being redeemed, and that's the whole conversation. But one theory I always had was that in the end, Deku takes All For One, like he basically unlocks All For One. I had a whole theory video on it, so you can check that part out about how it happens. But he uses that to basically remove Shigaraki's All For One quirk, and then at some point in the future, Shigaraki is basically given a second chance at life, like literally rewound back to being Tenko Shimura. And so we kind of like see, because we all know he's a victim of circumstance, right? Like he just happened to be someone that All For One targeted. But if he wasn't, then he probably would have grown up to be a hero, because we do know that he loved heroes when he was a kid. So my theory at the time was that he might get rewound at some point after the series is done, and he gets to basically start his life again from scratch in a new environment, and we see how things work out. And I still think that theory is possible because every other week we see Tenko Shimura kind of like bursting out of trying to escape from All For One's mind control kind of thing.
Hmm.
So I think that's something that is still plausible, and I think it's maybe even likely because it's not looking like Shigaraki's going to go out sad. It's looking like he's going to get redeemed in some way because he's been put in such a sad position. Um, and yeah, so I think that's definitely one thing that might happen. In terms of like Deku and the rest, I'm not really too sure. I know they're all going to survive because if they were going to kill someone, they could have killed Bakugo, and they decided to chicken out with it. Um, so
Horrible. Such a oh my gosh. I don't even
yeah,
get into it.
that was disappointing because we know it's the final arc, so you could have killed him. If you wanted to, you could have done it. Could have, but yeah, like the fact he didn't do that, I just don't know. I think they're all gonna live. All of Class 1A are gonna survive. Um, so yeah, they'll be fine. One thing I am interested to see it, and I'll be honest with you, I don't actually think Horikoshi is gonna solve this. It's the whole problem with the quirk singularity and how each generation is getting stronger and more uncontrollable. Based on where we are right now, I don't think that in a year's time or less, we're gonna have an answer to that problem. There's like so many things that he needs to wrap up with so many different characters that almost I'll call it like an existential crisis of quirks. How are you gonna solve that on top of the whole war that's going on right now? Like
Mm.
I don't think that that's even gonna be solved. So I think when the series comes to an end, yeah, I think that's still going to be lingering in the air. Like, how do we stop the quirk singularity? Because quirks aren't going away. Basically every person in the world has them. So unless he has a
Time
way,
skip?
well, maybe. I mean,
We're gonna go full Avatar: The Last Airbender, and he's able to like remove people's quirks and like
yeah.
you know.
They just fast forward 10 years into the future. Yeah, we found a cure. I mean,
Oh, wouldn't that be interesting? Like people just like walking up, getting their vaccine or whatever, and then they're just, yeah, I haven't got a quirk anymore. Great. Um, yeah. Well,
yeah,
actually, now that you say that, they do have the quirk destroying bullets. Like that does exist. So I guess
yeah.
If
maybe
they
that
don't
one.
want it, they could just be like, you know what, take
Yeah.
it. I don't need
Listen,
this anymore.
well,
But
then they have to use Airy to. Well, actually, I guess they don't have to use Airy to thing it more. Anyway, there's a there's a lot of things in this series that still have to be wrapped up.
yeah, I think that's because remember, like he was always saying, well, he said last year about how he wanted to end it this year, and like there's just so many loose threads. There's just no chance anymore. Just no chance. He even knows
Absolutely,
that.
absolutely. Turtle Quirk, thank you for blessing us on this episode of the Lookout, my friend.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Of course,
Appreciate you much. Appreciate you.
I mean, if you'll see this in the bio, but where can they go find all of your great content and stuff?
On Twitter Quirk, on YouTube, and also on Twitter as well. I always like to have more Twitter followers. So yeah, check me out on YouTube and Twitter.
He has a great Chainsaw Man series. He has great Attack on Titan. If you need thorough explanation on Attack on Titan, please go follow this man because the way you have opened and simultaneously blew my brain with some of the stuff that you've explained and all the stuff that I didn't even read has been amazing. So make sure you check that out. And yeah, we'll be right back on the lookout. I really liked that interview.
I enjoyed talking about my hero for once, and it's not 1,000 people just yelling.
Very, you know what? Fine.
that
I
was
completely see that.
that was like the most calm and collected and like logical my hero conversation I feel me and you have ever been a part of.
I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. I could have done that for another 2 hours.
Oh yeah,
Clearly.
That was good conversation. Shout
I
out
could
to
have
Turtle
done that.
Quirk.
I could have done that way longer. I would like to say, we don't give awards on this thing. We don't give any kind of praise, or anything of the rather. I would just like to say this week, I would like to give a little bit of praise to one gosh, see now I'm bugging. Completely forgot the name. What's that manga we were reading about the girl who lives in the house with the dude and blue
Blue Box.
blue box, there we go. Why it escaped me so much? I want to give great applause to Blue Box chapter this week. I thought
Wow.
yes, I do.
Whoa. I'm glad we got this on tape, on record. We got this. You can't scrub this, buddy.
Wait a minute. Do you think I don't like Blue Box? Are we doing
I
the
know.
Pokemon thing for me now?
Yeah, you know what? Listen, I don't feel like you're the biggest fan of Blue Box. I don't think you see it.
think
I don't think you see it in the same light as in which I see Blue Box.
you know what? Fair. And I think that holds the same for the Pokemon discussion we had earlier. I do not, but I think the perspective, this entire chapter surrounding what's her name?
Hina?
Yes. And it's surrounding her and her thoughts and kind of like summarizing it up and also expressing it was incredible. It was actually it was very gosh, what would I say I would equate it to? It was very I'm trying to find Homeboy's
This
name. Who's the go ahead.
No, I was gonna say like this chapter had the same intensity as the war arc, but instead of killing people and heroes and villains, this is love we're talking about.
I would say it was very Fujimoto-esque.
Yeah, it was definitely
But
Fujimoto. Not a lot of just like think boxes and feeling and
and yeah,
emotion.
right. But without the looming sense of murder or something crazy about to go on. Like I would say that this chapter, you know, people who have not read Blue Box, what is wrong with you? If you're a manga reader, please go ahead and read Blue Box. it was a great chapter this week. I gotta give him credit. It might be my favorite. Actually, I don't know, because Spy Family, we're getting into big spoilers on this thing. Spy Family as well, great chapter. I mean, who does not love an entire school bus getting kidnapped?
Just a classic. You stick to the classics.
Classic trope. Classic trope.
Classic trope.
Chainsaw Man was also great this week.
Oh yeah, they are. It seems that they're getting better each episode.
It's really good.
And I think, and I know it's been a while since me and you like talked about Chainsaw Man. Saying like 2 episodes ago.
Yeah, but we don't need to go long for a minute. But it's still pretty good.
No, but like what I told you, like last time, I know we were talking about like, man, it looks so clean, and that was something that kind of threw us off. But I mean, I text you this too of the cleanness works because of the color palette that they use with the characters and the backgrounds, like how the colors play off of each other. It makes up for that cleanness and gives it this like slight darkness. Like you still get like a little bit of that gritty feeling.
It is not lost on me that the manga chapters and the anime comes out literally half an hour apart. It is not lost on me. I was like, damn, they really in their duffel with this one. And the ending song was probably the best one of the series thus far.
Wow. You're full of surprises today.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, I do the damn thing. With that said, again, thank you guys for listening this week. Interview with Turtle Quirk. I want to give a big shout out to Turtle Quirk once again for being on this episode. You know what? I should have asked him. I've been meaning to ask this for like 2 things, but we've had such a limited time with our guests. I meant to ask him about the 90s versus 2000s versus 2010s, which has the best anime thing. But you know what?
That needs to be our next conversation.
I feel like it's I don't want to think it right now, but I do want to get there. I feel like it's a good like. Before we summarize what happens in this year, we gotta get to it and have.
Because I've been watching Outlaw Star too, and that's been so good.
Oh, okay. I need a '90s anime to run back to. I really do.
Outlaw Star.
Outlaw Star. How long is it?
It's. Give me 1 second. It's not long. I wouldn't give you.
26 episodes.
Long.
Yeah. See? I'm quicker with the trigger.
You are much quicker than me.
I'm on a laptop. But with that said,
that's why.
I will definitely tune into it. But yeah, thank you guys for tuning in. Of course, you can follow me at Meelz TV. You can follow Jamal at LJ. And you can follow The Lookout at The Lookout RNC on Twitter and The Lookout on RNC Radio, anywhere where you listen to podcasts. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe to our podcast. Make sure to just listen, rate, subscribe, share, retweet. Please retweet. Twitter is really the only social platform we use outside of Instagram. So if you can share an episode, share an episode. You know what I'm saying? If you want to see us thriving, winning, sitting, we would like to be alongside RDC World and being invited to the Black Panther premiere for no particular reason. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, shout out to my guys too, because they kind of, they cleaned up nice. Listen, I ain't see a bad fit on them.
There's money, bro. Money. Listen, I ain't filming no anime house, but goddamn.
Oh no, I ain't doing all that, bro.
but still they're doing the damn thing. So make sure you share and support the podcast. And yeah, man, we'll be back next week, another episode. Don't know what it's gonna be about, but it's gonna be a banger. So yeah. What did 80 always say on his sign out? Drink more water.
Listen, always watch more anime, read more manga, and be on the lookout, only on the lookout.